Good afternoon. An update on the banking crisis. This weekend, Credit Suisse was basically put in a safe position with a merger with UBS. UBS did probably the best deal in history and is going to create a powerhouse in global wealth, Swiss retail, and much stronger in investment banking globally. This has been probably for UBS shareholder the best deal ever. From the systemic point of view, the biggest risk has been avoided, and we think the situation has stabilized. In US, we have noticed deposits being more relaxed. There has been a relaxation in deposit outflow. In Europe so far, there has been zero deposit outflow in the system. But let me give you a couple of numbers just to be clear on the stability of Europe. First of all, in Europe, we have a liquidity coverage ratio at system level of 160%. In America, at system level, it's less than 120. So in Europe, we have 40 points more of liquidity than in America. And the reason is simple. In America, liquidity, you compete with money markets, which don't exist in Europe. You compete with asset managers, which in Europe are weaker, and hence all the liquidity is actually in the banking system. Secondly, if I look at the strongest bank in America, JP Morgan, has a core equity of 13.5%. Take an example, Deutsche Bank is 13.5%, has a liquidity ratio of 112%. Deutsche Bank has 142%, so 35 points more. How's that possible? Take, for example, Deutsche Bank. They own Postbank. It's the savings banks, the postal savings banks in Germany, where all the deposits lie. So from the fundamental point of view, Europe has much more liquidity than the US. At the same time, in Europe, all the top 150 banks are heavily regulated, like JP Morgan. In America, less than 15. And that's why the European banking system, it's simpler, in a certain way, more stable, less profitable, because there are more banks and rates were lower, but much, much safer. And I think this is very important at time of panic. What do I think will happen? So, first of all, most European banks have plenty of cash, liquidity, and capital. They've never been in a better position. And I expect companies to start buying back their debt or buying back their equity, and certainly minimizing the cost for the funding. This is very important, as ultimately Europe is a system that is bank-led, and they need to keep on lending for the economy going. And so this is actually a matter of monetary policy transmission. Secondly, I think European authorities are getting annoyed. The crisis started in the United States on loosely regulated bank, below the 250 billion threshold, whether it was Silvergate, Signature Bank, or SVB, and now it looks like the key issue is Europe. So European regulators are fed up. Secondly, they are standing behind the financial system because they've regulated heavily, so there is a cost in earnings, but there's also an advantage in safety. And at a time where this safety is put into question by speculators, I think they will stand up steady. They've already done so on Monday in unseen event. The ECB, Bank of England, the Fed, and on Tuesday the Monetary Authority of Singapore, and even the Financial Stability Board questioned some of the action taken by FINMA and the SNB in how they resolved the Credit Suisse. And in a way, they're making very clear that the system in Europe is ultra safe. So what are we doing? Well, at time of panic, we as investors, fundamental investors, focus on the numbers. So basically, this is very attractive returns in one of the most liquid and safest institutions. Deutsche Bank has completely transformed since 2015-16 under the leadership first of John Crine, but most importantly under Christian Sewing over the last couple of years. It's focused, knows what are the clients, had no hiccups in the last 3-4 years, and most importantly, what the ECB tell us, they have plenty of liquidity and plenty of capital in abundance. The excess liquidity is more than 60 billion, and the excess capital is more than 8 billion. I think that's very important because it gives an idea how strong these institutions are. And when people look at the number and they focus on the number and not on stories, they will see these are unique, attractive entry point for these institutions. Thank you.